Good morning, Moo. Good morning, Daddy. I'm back with another hopefully humorous story for you. This one was inspired by our old wonderful cat, Fluffy. Remember Fluffy? She was kind of surly, very pretty, and she had quite a tummy. So without further ado, let's get into the story. It's called Puddingbutt the Cat. Once upon a time, in the town right next to yours, there lived the fattest cat in the history of the world, and his name was Puddingbutt. Now, when I say Puddingbutt was big, I don't mean just big, I mean big. He was so fat that he had to sleep in a Rubbermaid plastic tub. He weighed nearly 45 pounds. Puddingbutt was a glutton, but he was a glutton for only one thing: pudding. Tapioca to be exact. Puddingbutt just couldn't get enough of it. Morning, noon, and night the cat craved tapioca. His mama kept it in little plastic pudding cups tucked into every cabinet in the kitchen, but it still wasn't enough. One morning Puddingbutt woke up hungry. He always woke up hungry. And so he yawned and stretched and smacked his little big Puddingbutt lips and waddled into the kitchen for breakfast. Meow, he called to his mama, which meant, "Hey lady, get me some pudding, right now." His mama looked at Puddingbutt with worried eyes. "Oh, sweetums, I spoke with your doctor this morning. Remember last week when I took you to the vet? Well, your test results came back and you have a little bit of a weight issue." "Meow," said Puddingbutt, which meant, "Really? That's great. Now get me some pudding." So, anyway, Poopsie, you're just gonna have to go on a diet starting today. No more tapioca for you, my furry little man. And his mama took a carrot out of the crisper bin and dropped it into Puddingbutt's dish. Meow! Puddingbutt just looked at the carrot and looked at his mama. Back and forth, until sensing no forthcoming pudding, he turned tail disgusted and squeezed himself through his dog-sized cat door. And so Puddingbutt began to walk, albeit very slowly, dragging his massive blimp-like middle along the ground. Fortunately for Puddingbutt, he'd only gone a block before he picked up the scent. The scent of pudding. "Holy moly," thought Puddingbutt, and he began to trot a little faster, sniff, sniff, sniffing the air with eager interest. The trail led him to the rear of a nondescript house and up to the window ledge of what appeared to be the kitchen. With quite a bit of doing, Puddingbutt heaved himself up the ledge and peered through the dusty window. The room was spacious and filled, and I mean filled, with pudding. Big cups, little cups, huge institutional-sized cans of it stocked floor to ceiling with no room in between. And sandwiched inside this pudding cocoon, there sat a man, the biggest man he'd ever seen. He wore a stained and yellow t-shirt emblazoned with "Pudding Eating Champion of the World" and was hunched over an open tub of tapioca. This vast ocean of pudding belonged to none other than Pudding Baxter Jones, the pudding-eating champion of the world. But Puddin' Jones had grown disillusioned with the world of competitive eating, which he felt had become too much of a commercial enterprise. And so he had retired to live the quiet life of a once world champion. Pudding Jones sat eating eagerly, hungrily, totally transfixed, like he'd been trapped on a deserted island for months and just found his way home. He stopped occasionally to breathe and look around the room at all of his unopened pudding. Puddingbutt, being an animal, had the ability to read human emotions with just a glance, and what Puddingbutt sensed was an intense loneliness, almost palpable, like the big gaping hole of hunger gnawing inside his belly at that very moment. And so Puddingbutt did what came naturally. Meow! Which meant, "Come here right now, you big big handsome beast, invite me into your pudding feast. Pudding Jones, upon hearing this loud call, looked up and locked eyes with the cat. And never in all the history of the world was there ever a truer or more sincere case of love at first sight. Pudding Jones had never beheld such a beautiful creature in all his life. He rushed over to the window and threw it open wide, exclaiming, "My friend!" To which Puddingbutt replied, "Meow," which meant, "Home sweet home." Hope you enjoyed that. And now I wanted to show you, I found a picture of what I think Puddingbutt and Fluffy's child would have looked like. Love you. See you tomorrow.